All right, here we go. What's going on, everybody? What's up, Colts fans? How you doing, Texans fans? Congratulations on winning the AFC South again for the second year in a row. Not quite sure, but this all but does it for the AFC South here. The Jaguars, they're not coming back. The Titans, forget about it. This game put the Houston Texans at 6-2. The Colts now at 4-4. Essentially, it's a 3-game lead. The Texans swept the Colts for the second time since the Texans have come into the league and the AFC South was formed. The first time was back in 2016. I know a lot of people probably want to hear what I have to say about Anthony Richardson, and I think that in itself deserves its own video. So if you came here wanting that, you're going to have to wait a little bit. I do have my thoughts on Anthony Richardson. But let's get into it. Let's get into the game. I thought early on, I will talk about Anthony Richardson a little bit. I thought early on Anthony Richardson was hitting receivers. Unfortunately, the receivers did have some drops. There were some really great batted down passes by the Texans defense. I think at least 5 batted down passes. Now, if you just box score watch and you see 2 for 13 or 2 for 15 at halftime, you'd think, wow, that's terrible. And it was. But, yes, there were a few drops and batted down passes, like I said. But you get into, like, a 10-10 situation at the end of the half, and you have the ball inside your own 10-yard line. You run it, actually inside like your own 2-yard line, and you run it with Jonathan Taylor. He gets you 3-4 yards. You get a little bit of breathing room, and you come back with a pass play over to the left side. Now, this play, it was almost intercepted. You then decide on third and whatever it was, after a full half of not converting a single third down, you were like 0 for 8 at that point, to a quarterback who hasn't completed very many short passes, and you decide to throw it again, and it's picked off. 75% of that on Shane Steichen. Why are you calling that? Hand the ball off, play defense, go in half, tied 10-10, okay? 25% of that is on Anthony Richardson. That was a bad throw. It gave the Texans the ball inside the 10-yard line. Was pretty much a pick six because it took them like 2 plays to score. They went up 17-10 going into the halftime. It was over from there. The defense, I thought, played a lot better. They still gave up plays. They still gave up big runs. Joe Mixon was over 100 yards. Now you had C.J. Stroud, who the last 2 games has averaged 115 yards passing. He had 86 yards passing against the Green Bay Packers. They were down Nico Collins. Their passing offense went from the best to the worst. And you still allowed over 280 yards passing for C.J. Stroud. And that's, like I said, without Nico Collins. And midway through the game, they lost Stephon Diggs. And they still did it to you. Dalton Schultz had a day. Tank Dell had some good catches. Joe Mixon, like I said, ran out of the backfield, and he had some good catches out of the backfield as well. The defense, I mean, they weren't bad. They held you to 23 points. They got pressure on C.J. Stroud. They sacked him. DeForest Buckner came back, and he had himself a pretty solid day. And I hate wasting that. I hate, you look at how many guys on this team had a pretty solid day. And it's frustrating knowing when Jonathan Taylor came back, he had over 100 yards, and you still lose. And I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Anthony Richardson in this video, but it's hard for me not to bring him up. I'll go into the other stuff more deeper in the other video. Anthony Richardson was terrible. 10 of 32, 175 yards, a touchdown, a pick, 48.3 QBR. C.J. Stroud, 25 of 37, 285 yards, a touchdown, no picks, 99.5 QBR. Your third down efficiency was terrible. You were 2 for 13. And again, you were dominated in time of possession week 1 against the Texans. They had the ball for 40 minutes. Colts only had the ball for 20 minutes. Again, in this game, a little bit better. We still lost, so how much better could it be? 35 minutes and 20 seconds for the Texans. 24 minutes and 40 seconds for the Colts. So usually when you win ball games, when you win football games, you want to control the clock. And the Texans did that both times. The Texans swept us. The Texans are going to win the AFC South. They're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. Currently looking at the standings for what it's worth, the Chiefs, obviously, they're in first. The Texans, they're in second. They have a tiebreaker over the Bills. The Bills are in third. The Steelers are on fourth. And then you go from there. The Colts currently, as it sits, are 4-4 and are actually out of the playoffs. Whereas opposed last week, they were actually in the playoffs. I know it's way early. We're midway through the season. It doesn't count technically, because there's a lot of football to be played. But this is the conversation that we're going to have all year long from here on out, is the playoff stuff. So, because we're going to be battling out with the Broncos. Whoever is in second place at the AFC North, right now, that's the Ravens. The Chargers. The Colts are obviously there. We're not battling ourselves. The Bengals and the Dolphins. We already beat the Dolphins. Maybe you want to worry about the Browns. Maybe that's the last team you want to worry about. The Browns are 2-6. The Bengals are 3-5. The Colts 4-4. And at the very, very bottom of the wild card, so the 7th seed, the Chargers 4-3. Okay, so these teams all around the Colts, 4-4, 4-3, 3-5. You're gonna have to start paying attention to these teams. Now, for what it's worth, there has not been a single team mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And there has not been a single team to clinch a playoff spot. Those kind of things come much, much later in the season, like 11, 12, at the earliest. Okay, teams like the Chiefs, if they continue to win like they are, they're going to clinch early on. And the team like the Carolina Panthers, who have only won one game thus far, they're going to get eliminated early on. So just keep in mind, there's still a lot of football to be played to even get a clear picture on who might and who might not make the playoffs. But right now, the Colts are in the thick of things. They're the 8th seed, which isn't in the playoffs. That's not technically a seed, but just to show you, 1 through 7, the Colts are on the outside looking in. Like I said, I'm going to react to the Anthony Richardson game in another video. It deserves its own video. It really does. Just know it's not good. So, but that's all I've got to say. Congratulations again to the Houston Texans. Oh, man. 4-4. 4-4. It sucks, man. It sucks. 4-4. It's like, it could be worse. It absolutely could be worse. But we're in such a weird spot right now. Oh, man. This one stung. This one stung, man. I'll tell you what. That's it. Till next time. Go Colts.